Wait, you mean to tell me that this game has been out for almost a year and it's still in its first patch? This game has gotta be perfect then, right? Right? Gosh, the cutscenes actually suck in this game. I feel like you wouldn't understand them if you've never played the original Super Monkey Ball 2, and I would sim those cutscenes, but Char-I-5 and Nathaniel Bandy already did that. Speaking of the cutscenes, it looks like the monkeys are watching a retelling of the events of Super Monkey Ball 2, but that doesn't make any sense. Yan Yan and Doctor are here. They don't appear in the original game. In fact, this cutscene is the only cutscene with Yan Yan and Doctor. What was the point of including them to begin with? Why not just import the original cutscenes? Yeah, it's simple alright. You just hold up and you win. I feel like Bumpy, while being easy, is a bit early for the third level. With the previous level being hollow, a new player has not necessarily learned speed control yet, and may end up flying off. Also, is that Braille on this stage? How is a blind person gonna feel something inside of a video game? Shoutouts to all the people who played this stage for the first time and pressed the second switch and had the floor turn on them. I feel like the green goal should have been past the regular goal because the second switch comes across as confusing for new players. This stage is literally a hold up to win. What's the point of the conveyor mechanic? Again, what are the point of the floaters? They don't do anything to the stage unless you want more bananas. So in the original Super Monkey Ball 2, this stage was called Slopes. However, in Deluxe and subsequently Banana Mania, this stage is called Tub. But why? It doesn't look like a tub. And yes, I know the name was accidentally switched with Rising Inclines, but that was in the original Deluxe. Why didn't they fix it for the remake? Sliders is such a better name for this stage than Wandy Slide. This stage appears so difficult, but in actuality is really easy. The stage feels very pointless in my opinion. Ugh, this stage is so boring! What does Dr. Badboon think putting a tiny bomb in a big volcano is gonna do? Plus, if you're trying to destroy Jungle Island, you won't have more bananas to steal. It's about this point in the game you start to realize the emptiness without Brian Matt as the announcer, as well as the sound effects being a little weird. Also, yes, I know, Brian Matt has had a lot of controversy regarding this franchise, but that doesn't mean he wasn't a great announcer. Who or what ate this floor? Charvarg from Mario? You can literally just hold up to win on this stage. Why design a roller coaster level and call it coaster if you're not supposed to go fast? That's so misleading! Bumpy but with holes. How original. This stage should have been in World 1 instead of Windy Slide. It's much easier than it in every way. The red goal actually sucks to get into in this game. It wasn't too terrible in the original game, but because of Banana Mania's goal physics being completely different, it is insanely hard to drop into the goal without hitting the party ball. Also, this stage starts the unfortunate trend of landing on the fast forward switch, only to have the play switch right behind you. How are people supposed to know that the first time around? Also, yes, I know, Hoppers technically does it first, but you can hold up on that stage anyway, so I don't count that. I'm sorry, what is the name of this stage? Totalitarianism? What is that supposed to mean? Do the donuts represent the government and how their authoritarian rule crushes all their people? This is just such a weird name for a stage, man. At least it's not as bad as some of the touch and roll stage names. The time bonus achievement really sucks for this level. You have to do this stage in under 15 seconds, and the only way to do that is by hitting the fast forward switch, which A, why is there no play switch in case it's pressed by accident? And B, why do the platforms move insanely fast? It is incredibly hard to keep up with them when it's in fast forward. What if Gongon punched the bomb and exploded on the spot? Seems like a really terrible way to get rid of a bomb. I'm sorry, Dr. Badboon should be dead after that. Where is Dr. Badboon's frog suit when he goes in the water? This stage is way too hard to be in World 3. There is little window room to make it through the gear, and there's no indication of when or where the gear will stop. Also, reversible gear is a terrible name for this stage. It should have been called Starfish, cause we're underwater. Wait, it's called that in a different game? Where it's not underwater? What the hell, Sega?
LeBron James?
In all seriousness though, this is the stage that can screw people over if they have not found out that the play switch is right behind them. I cannot stress this enough, this stage is really difficult while playing in fast forward. So in the original game, this stage was called URL, but there's no URL anymore. So it's called Push Bar, which first off, Push Bar is the most lame name you could come up with. And why not have a different web address and keep the stage being URL? That was a charming aspect of the stage, making it a stage based off a web address. It could have been smb.sega.com in bigger text. That red goal is RNG, I'm convinced. Twister is such a better name for this level than Twist and Spin. Twist and Spin goes better with that level in the Arctic. Wait a second, the original cutscene for this scene had them over the water while the whale ate them. In here, they're still underwater. Do they really need to work together to escape the whale? Can't Ai and the gang just fly out? Heck, even Dr. Badboon could too. He's got a propeller pack. This green goal is super weird to get. You have to hold up a certain time to get it. Like seriously, how's anyone supposed to know that? This stage starts an unfortunate trend for this world and honestly for the rest of story mode. Many people consider World 4 possibly maybe top 3 of the hardest worlds for story mode. This stage kinda starts that trend. This is stage 32. Why the heck is it so difficult for being this early in the game? Then you have Beehive, which is incredibly easy to begin with. How is anyone supposed to know you hold up to win on this stage? Hoo boy, buckle up for this tree wreck of a stage. For starters, this reminds me to comment on the setting itself. Why and how has this whale swallowed cities, a comb, and now a tree? It's a cool concept, but just how though? And this stage also has to do with the inconsistent difficulty curve within this world. This stage really sucked in the original. So you know what this remake did? Add divots to the arrows that launch you, except it doesn't even work half the time because they changed the speed in which arrows launch you. Sometimes you don't even get launched high enough, and sometimes you get launched way too high that you might end up getting a fallout from going too high. And even when you do get a good height, the minimap disappears when you go too high. This stage never did any of these things in the original, and by making it easier, it ended up being way more difficult. And you wanna know the kicker? There's a chance that when you get launched, you launch through the tree and get a fallout. I'm convinced that they had trouble porting this stage into the Unity engine and just went with it and said, screw it, nobody likes launchers anyway. Except that you have to play this stage 3 times if you want 100% the game. And you have to get the green goal in story mode if you want to get 100% on achievements. And speaking of the green goal, how is anyone supposed to predict where the green goal will go? Yes, it goes in the same position as the blue goal, but the difference between the two is you need to predict where the goal will be, which isn't always consistent with the way the launchers actually work. Typically, I've only gotten the green goal by accident, and while I know there's a specific method into launching it in the green goal in one go, but even that alone is hard to determine. I'll even use my girlfriend as an example, who doesn't even play the series, beat launchers on her second try by getting the green goal by accident, which may not be as bad as in story mode, but it will suck in challenge mode, because then you may accidentally skip randomizer, meaning if it's your first time playing the stage, you'll not unlock the stage in practice mode, and if you're trying to speedrun Super Monkey Ball 2 normal, you will accidentally skip the stage that gives you the option to skip 2 really slow, boring stages. What about this stage is random? Is it the bumps? If you go straight, you will always go in the same direction. Not really random if you ask me. Coin slots is the definition of what not to do when making a stage. While a cool concept, the execution falls flat because you need to wait a certain amount of time for the goal to align with the coin slot. And oftentimes you'll miss the earlier ones because they are fast. And if you want to get the slowest one, you have to wait about 50 seconds, and if you miss that, you have to restart the level and wait another minute or so to try again. Then the green goal has the same issue with pro skaters where you need to hold up at a certain amount of time to get it. The worst part about these two stages is you need to get the green goal to 100% the achievements. Seesaw Bridges isn't a hard stage per se, but it's certainly a stage that can trip people up because it's most likely everyone's first seesaw stage. It's just weird how this stage is so early in the game, while other seesaws in the future like punch seesaws, linear seesaws, and totters are significantly easier than this one. Also, you can tell Sega itself didn't like the stage because they give you 2 opportunities to skip this one. Okay, while I know Arthropod is a really infamous stage amongst the community, I actually don't have much to say about Arthropod. While I do agree it's too early for where it's placed, the stage has a solid difficulty and the only jankness about the stage has been removed, which were the rings being spaced out, and the cycle of the stage having to wait 30 seconds for the goal to appear. Both of these aspects are removed, making the stage better. I'm still sending it to where it's placed, however. What was the point of doing all the stages if they're all trying to bash their way out from the whale? It's also a colossally sized whale. What are 7 small monkeys gonna do to it? In the original game, the whale spits out Badboon first and he makes his way to the amusement park, and then Ai and company follow him shortly after. In this cutscene, they get spat out at the same time with Badboon running away and Ai chasing after him. My question is, how did Ai lose him? In the next cutscene, it shows Ai being confused on how to search for him. Why is this stage 30 seconds? It's not even consistent with the challenge mode version, which is the normal 60 seconds. People like searching for the switch behind you, so what if we made it behind the wormhole? Jump Machine suffers the same problem as launchers. The bouncers don't launch you at a consistent height, which didn't even happen in the original game. Ugh, this stage is so boring. Again. What if we made floaters, but added more cubes?
get you a little tiny toilet for a little tiny baby to... Ah!
You know, I kind of noticed that they cut out all of Bad Boon's affection towards Mimi in this game, and this cutscene is a completely different context without that plot point. Why do I need to go back to the beginning of the stage just to slow it down to a manageable level? Why is this level so late in the game? It's easier than Seesaw Bridges. This level is so boring and super annoying with all the sound effects constantly playing. The red goal? F tier. You can also cheese it with the jumping and it still counts towards achievements. Good balancing, game. Because of the increased acceleration of your character of this game, this stage becomes really easy once you realize you can go back to the stage and just hold up. This stage has absolutely no place being this late into World 6. It's way too easy. Yep. You knew this one was coming. This is single-handedly one of the hardest yet easiest stages at the same time. How is anyone supposed to know what switch is the correct one? Trial and error? Well, that doesn't work in challenge mode when you have a death counter or lives in the original. Seriously, without a walkthrough, how is anyone supposed to know this? It would be so different if the wrong switches were like fake or they had a different design meant to look like imposter switches. But nope, all the switches look the exact same. How is anyone supposed to figure this out and all, especially when you get punished for hitting the wrong switch? Where's my naked Dr. Bad Boon? Why'd they remove the removal of his clothes? No. This stage is easier than its predecessor, Curvy Options, yet it's much later than it. Seriously, this stage is so easy and has no place being in World 7. Ain't no way anyone knew how to do this stage when they first saw it. Banana Mania's physics make this level 10 times harder than it needs to be just because it's hard to stay straight. Flock is such a boring stage. If you do it normally, it almost takes about a minute to do. Why is there only one goal in this stage? What's the literal point in taking the other path? And what's the literal point of taking the top path? There is no level that teaches proper speed control prior to this. So if you don't know how to control your speed and momentum, you are screwed. This stage is a wall for newbies and a very frustrating one at that. Do I even have to say anything? It's a hold up to win stage in World 7. The final stage of it, mind you. Dang, they don't even show Bad Boon growing the monkeys back to normal. There is no point of the mechanical eyes in this game. You don't even fight them. This stage struggles with consistency. It's really difficult to be safe between the pistons, and the pistons pattern is very weird overall. Please change the name of this level. Ironically, the middle section of this level makes you lose your momentum. And the award for most confusing stage goes to... Switch Inferno! But this is a close second. If you don't press the fast forward switch, you will run out of time. Not to mention that if you go too fast on this level, you will hit the party ball and it bounce off. But if you go too slow, the path will unalign itself. Why is this stage in World 8? It's way too easy. This stage sucks, especially the last divot. It's even harder with Banana Mania's wonky physics. This stage suffers the same issues as Launchers and Jump Machine, except this time you get less of a reaction time. This is probably where Seesaw Bridges should have been. I know they replaced the bonus stages with casual extra stages, but towards this point in the game, the difficulty curve becomes inconsistent with the casual extra stage in the midst of expert levels. If they could just fly up, why didn't they do that to escape the whale earlier? For a maze stage, it's pretty easy to skip nearly all of it. That looks nothing like a guillotine at all. Even though they slowed down air hockey, they changed the angle of the goal, and the stage is not any easier than it used to be in my opinion. What? Where did you get the idea for bananas to taste like curry? That's so random. Okay, this is the final world. Why is the stage this easy here? The stage is incredibly confusing, and even if you know what to do, it'll still take almost 60 seconds. Cool! A trial and error stage! And so starts the trend of World 10's weird gimmick, pun not intended, levels. 3D Maze is a weird stage only because of the nature it was made off of. It looks cool, but it is incredibly confusing where you're supposed to stand to be safe. How is everyone supposed to know that you need to stand on a certain small spot to be safe? Or maybe I'm just playing the stage wrong, I don't know. The level layout is not the best. It's really confusing at best, and you will run out of time if you make one small mistake. That corner crossing has got to be one of the jankest things in this game. What about this is postmodern? All it is are a bunch of stairs. The original name for this stage was Stairs House. Why change the name to begin with? Want to know how to do this stage? Spell invisible. What? You wanted a better hint on how to do this stage? Discount created by. Seriously, last stage is the best name you could come up with for this level. Oh, Henchman is literally gone. Is he dead? That's it? That's how they win? Kind of underwhelming. You don't unlock Dr. Badmoon or Henchman for completing story mode? They would be the perfect characters to play as. Why isn't challenge mode multiplayer in this game? That was a huge feature this remake cut. Also, where's competition mode? That's gone too. For a remake, they removed a bunch of stuff. That's not a diamond, that's a rhombus. Wait, they're the same thing? Why do I have to play this bonus stage 3 times? Kinda weird if you ask me. Also, this is the bonus music from Super Monkey Ball 2, not Super Monkey Ball 1. Why didn't they have the correct music? This stage is a little too difficult for casual in my opinion. Again, why do I have to play this stage 3 times? Why did they remove the box surrounding the goal? Was it to make it easier? The stage wasn't hard to begin with. Discount AV logo. I know Amusement Vision isn't a thing anymore, but Banana Plate should have been RGG logo instead. Oh, and we play the stage 3 times as well. Nothing about this stage makes me want to walk. Wait a second, the original version of this stage on normal and expert had 30 seconds. Did they forget that they were different? Why does the warp goal skip all the way to bonus wave? That's way too much of a reward for something so easy. Nothing about this stage is slim at all. Why does the thinnest path have a green goal and not a red goal? You can't tell me it's on the same difficulty level as Break's green goal. It even skips the amount of stages as Break, but it's 20 times harder to get. Jamma bars. Floor bent doesn't even sound grammatically right. It should be called bent floor, which it was in Deluxe. For story mode only. Challenge mode was still called floor bent. What? Stage is way too easy for being the halfway point for SMB1 normal. I love how you can skip half the stage and it's incredibly easy to do. Chaser has the easiest red goal in the game. And not only is it incredibly easy, it makes you skip 7 levels. Let me reiterate, Choice's green goal in which you have to cross a 0.1 meter wire makes you skip 3 levels. Yet a red goal where all you have to do is drop to the right and wait makes you skip 7. What I'm trying to say is the warp goal system is unbalanced in SMB1 normal. Or at least you get to skip middle jam though. Just like Exam B, this stage has a shortcut that's really easy to pull off and makes the stage way easier than it should. This stage's concept is just meh. All you do is just go in between bumpers and wait. The window between you cross and the center is way too narrow as well. More Jamma bars! Has anyone even done this stage normally? Again, why do we have to play this stage multiple times? I don't really understand this stage at all. If you attempt to do the stage normally, you will get a time over. If you only take one shortcut, you will barely make it. What about this as a puzzle at all? Is it a puzzle because you have to figure out that you need to take shortcuts? How is anyone supposed to get that? Why is this stage called puzzle to begin with? The outer ring on this stage alone deserves a sin, especially in the original game with the bad Fallout playing on it. This is expert now. Do we really still need hold up to win levels? Why is Branch's warp goal red and Overturn's green? Overturn's warp goal is way harder to get. They must have really not wanted you to play this stage because they give you 2 opportunities to skip it, and rightfully so. This stage is placed way too early in expert, and in the original game, it has the damn glare on the wire. Did we really need to play blocks a 3rd time? So one problem with SMB1's expert is that the first 10 stages happen to be the hardest in the entire difficulty, and SMB1's expert is known to be the most inconsistently difficult in the entire franchise. This stage is the most famous example, because while Excursion is way too hard to be expert for, you get 2 opportunities to skip it with moderately easy to get warp goals. Exam C, however, you cannot skip at all, meaning you are forced to complete it to progress. The thin wires itself, the checkered floor, and the last curved wire come out of nowhere in this game, making this stage's difficulty extremely arbitrary. It creates a wall for players when they have not even dealt with any of these obstacles prior to that, and also have to complete it within 60 seconds. And in Banana Mania, this stage was heavily nerfed, making the last curved wire slightly wider, and changing the times to 90 seconds, as it should. Exam C is a fine stage on its own, but where it's placed in the game makes the stage really suck. And to make things worse, the stage was originally going to be Master 3 as shown by early SMB1 trailers. Why make the change to begin with? Then when you finally drain your lives completing Exam C, you get Skeleton, which isn't too bad. But then you get this abomination, Tracks. Tracks is a harder version of Choice except A, it doesn't even have a red goal for that impossibly thin wire. B, it doesn't even look as good as the original because all the wires are the same color and they got rid of the length indicator of each wire too. And C, why again is it placed this early in Expert? It's just a long, stressful curved wire. Again, in this remake it was nerfed, though why isn't it later in this difficulty? So, in the original game, Invasion was a frustrating level, but not super difficult once you got the hang of it. However, because the bumper physics were changed in Banana Mania, Invasion becomes 10 times harder and has arguably become one of the most arbitrarily difficult stages in this game due to how the bumpers are being slightly bigger. Honestly, without the free camera, I have no idea how I could do this level. Oh yay! A hold up to win stage this late in the game! This stage just has unreliable collisions still even in the remake. While I never struggled with this stage in the remake myself, this goes out to all my homies who struggle to adapt to this stage with the new physics. You'd think the stage with the company's logo on it would be like the final stage or something, but nope, smack in the middle of the desert. Hey, pronounce the name of this stage. I dare you. What do you mean it's not? Why yes. That's what you do in this level. There's literally no point in taking the rightmost path. Okay guys, hear me out. What if we take Spiral and made it smaller? And seriously, the skip is much easier to do than the actual stage. Okay guys, hear me out. What if we take Conveyors and yeah, okay. Curvature's last wire sucks, because if you mess up you have to go all the way around again. Antlion, but with pegs. How original. Referring back to Sin 37, this should have been called Twist and Spin. The other stage represents a twister more than this. Okay, I forgot how much of late Expert is just reusing normal levels but adding like one thing to make it harder, and Speedy Jam just makes an already rough level even worse. Why is this level called Pirates? Are the platforms supposed to represent a pirate ship rocking, or a pirate swinging their sword? This bonus stage is really dumb. Isn't the point of them to get all the bananas? Why make them all disappear after a certain amount of time? I love how they spaced the bowl slightly farther from the start than in the regular bowl just so you can't do the skip. Ugh, this stage is so boring. 3. Wow, 3 stairs. What a stage. I don't know what about this stage represents a coffee cup in the slightest. Feel free to correct me on this though. It's really annoying that there's a slight gap in between the tiles, so every time you go in between the tiles you'll just hear the monkey yell constantly. This stage is way too easy for Expert Extra. Seeing this stage in the remake with no sounds makes me wish that there was the clanging sound when the hammer hits the pillars again. Oh boy, the SMB1 Master. You know, I've got a lot of things to say about this difficulty, because it went from extremely challenging to a joke in the remake. Ironically though, with this stage they nerfed it by slowing it down, but honestly it just made it harder for me because it lost the rhythm the original version had. Why get rid of the rainbow on this stage? Is Sega homophobic? Alright, time for another essay. Weird to believe that Exam C got moved to Expert and we got this instead. Stamina Master is a challenging stage, and while nerfed in this remake, it has been toned down, but is still challenging nonetheless. The initial design of this level really does suck, because again, this level's skip is miles better than doing the stage the original way. The first wire is also really hard to maneuver with the new physics, and the slow down airspeed makes the skip harder to do. They removed the skip on this stage because the spring can no longer hit you in the air. Lame. Okay, the original version of Dance Master really did suck. It was way too fast to react, so I can totally understand why it would need to be nerfed, but not this much. Dance Master in the remake goes way too slow and that the stage becomes way too easy. It went from 100 to 0 real quick. And ditto to Dodge Master. No, seriously, 6 of the 10 Master stages got nerfed, and I get it. They were extremely difficult and frustrating, but that's what made Super Monkey Ball special. Bridge Master, although I admit, did need a slight nerf, but with the physics having increased acceleration, the stage is way too easy as well now. Why change this level? It wasn't that hard to begin with, and now it's way too easy. It's the final level of SMB1. Did it need to be nerfed at all? Okay, so there's a huge problem with many of SMB2's bonus stages, in that many of them bananas are really difficult to get, even in the first place, leading me to wonder what the point of them was at all. Also, back to Sin 11, Tub is a way better name for this stage than Rising Inclines. Why is Junction's Warp Goal pathway harder to access in challenge mode than story mode? What was the point of that? Why is the starting platform longer in challenge mode? It doesn't make the stage any harder, but why? Okay, at least with Rising Inclines and Border Park, maybe you could get a decent amount of bananas, but with Leveler you can barely get any. This stage would be better if it was a regular level. Rest in peace to all the people who would use the Switch to boost over the platforms. Me. Domes has no place being in Super Monkey Ball 2 Normal Extra. It is way too difficult and overall not a fun stage. No joke, even after searching this up, this stage's concept is still weird to me. It's based off a Chinese lottery called the Ghost Leg, which is also known as the Amida Lottery. Which begs the question, why is it called Amida Lot and not Amida Lottery? How ironic how the only 2 stages in Super Monkey Ball 2 with 30 seconds both have the word pot in it, but with the developers smoking. Pot? Pachinko would work so much better as a regular stage than a bonus stage. So in the original game, Swing Shaft had a difference between story and challenge mode, in which the challenge mode version was much harder due to the Swing Shaft swinging faster. But in the remake, both use the story mode version. Did the devs not know this? Arguably the worst bonus stage. It is incredibly difficult to get any of the bananas. Ditto to Fighters, but at least the stage looks cool. That doesn't feel like a swing, it feels more like a trampoline. You got this stage and dribbles, but no monkey basketball party game? Come on, Sega! The fast forward switch virtually does nothing to the stage. I'm pretty sure it's the same speed. Also, that last crossing between pendulums is way too tight. Who thought a rotating maze level was a good idea at all? Gosh, the window room to get into this goal is way too tight. 9 times out of 10 you will end up messing up until you get a time over. Can you even do the warp goal path normally without blasting through? This stage did not need to be nerfed at all. Cylinders was already really easy to begin with. They did not need to add a pause switch. Fun fact, in the demo version of Super Monkey Ball 2, the stage was called Penetration before being changed to Passage. Let that stick in. Or don't. That's weird. Oh nice! A Minecraft reference! The last jump isn't always consistent with the collision, which can be really annoying if you're trying to get the minimum deaths achievement. The physics make this stage way harder than it needs to be since it's harder to balance on slopes. Clockface did not even need a nerf, it was really easy to begin with. I'm convinced they didn't have enough stages for original stage mode, so they just started nerfing random stages. You mean to tell me that this stage is in Master Extra? Why is it so easy? This stage belongs in Casual. That window room for the red goal is almost non-existent. Oh wait, I'm sorry, did I say red goal? It's a green goal in the remake when it was red in the original. That goal is really hard. Why'd they change it from red to green?
Cheesy.
Why did they rotate the goals? Now it's way too easy. Why no, this is not a speedrun of this game. Oh lovely, Dizzy System, aka RNG the stage. I think it's ironic how stages such as Monkey Master and Clockface, which did not need a nerf, got nerfed. But this stage, which desperately needed one, did not even get one. Even if they made the stage 75% of its original speed, it would be fine. This stage moves way too fast and is incredibly difficult to even see where you're going half the time. Also, there's a glitch in the original game where you can get knocked out of bounds randomly and it still exists in the remake. You're telling me they didn't fix one of the most infamous glitches in the original game? So, as we all know, the original Super Monkey Ball 2 did not have Destiny. It had a stage called Nintendo, which was just a Nintendo GameCube. Destiny was specifically made for Super Monkey Ball Deluxe because that game was on PS2 and Xbox. This game was made for all 8th and 9th generation consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. In my personal opinion, Destiny feels out of place in the Super Monkey Ball 2 stage lineup. I understand why they couldn't use Nintendo, however. I do believe they could have made a completely original stage and call it Game Console or something, and have Destiny be in Deluxe mode. Heck, even in the Nintendo Switch version of the game, they should be allowed to have Nintendo as the final stage because it would be a nice nod to the Nintendo GameCube. Why is there a retry button on practice mode but not story and special modes? All of these modes don't have a death counter. Alright, time to tackle on the special modes now, and I think we were all thinking this. Why are there only 10 reverse dark banana and gold banana stages? These modes could have had so much more to them. The issue with this mode is that many of the stages just spawn you into stage with a warp wheel and you have to make your way back to the start, making some stages just feel the same way as if you were playing it normally. Waver, rings, and punch seesaws all struggle with this. Special mention to carpet because it plays almost identically besides being slightly different. And reverse clover is literally identical to regular clover too. Also, I think the point of a reverse mode is to twist these stages to make it harder to deal with when they are reversed. Stages such as Amidala and Polar Large become way too easy in reverse because the goal in Amidala stops moving, and you can use the outer ring on Polar Large to propel you to the goal. Free Throw and Checker are good examples of how to make a good reverse mode stage, and I just wish the rest of the stages had that quality. Dark Banana Antlion is literally just Antlion Super. Oh boy, this stage sucks. This is the only stage I actually needed to use helper mode on, because it's incredibly confusing what to do, and even when you do know, it's still a very tight window to land on the ending platform while maintaining enough speed to slow down. Swing bar long, but with left save spots? Aw man. No Dark Eye after you beat this mode? That would have been cool. Golden Banana mode is weird. It's a cool concept, but the stage choices they use weren't really the best. Half of the stages are maze stages, which I guess wouldn't be that bad on their own, but they chose the worst maze stages they could use for this mode. They used Dungeon, Dodge Maze, Chaos, Flat Maze, and Crazy Maze for it, which in my opinion are literally the 5 worst maze stages in this game. Construction is a close 6th. They literally could have done Tilt Maze, Sewer, Jolt Channel, Labyrinth, and Partition instead of these 5. I don't know. Deluxe was full of maze stages, and the 3 of them are in Golden Banana mode. We don't need to play these stages multiple times at all. Oh, nice. I have to jump down a thin wire and turn around and balance on said wire. Yay. Original stage mode kind of feels like the true master mode of this game, using the unaltered versions of the levels that were nerfed. Except Hitter and Monkey Master for some reason. The problem is some of these levels are still altered in some way. Take Catwalk for example, as you used to have invisible walls that helped you balance on the center of the wire. These were removed in Banana Mania, making the very first stage of OG mode really dumb. I feel like the divots added nothing to the stage, so playing the original version of the stage feels the same. The physics make hopping across the gaps harder than it needs to be. What's the difference between the original Chaos and the new one? They look and play the same. Ditto to 8 bracelets. I think the bracelets are bigger in the new version, but I can't really tell because it's not super noticeable. I wanted to wait until I got to the original Soft Cream to send this, but why'd they change the stage to begin with? I feel like the new version ends up being harder because it's bigger and weirdly shaped. This version of air hockey is infinitely worse than the original, because the goal is now facing towards the player. It is insanely hard to get into the goal unless you do it in one go from the start. I didn't send this on the new Long Tourist because the redesign works with the new physics, but the original does not. Great, now the jank version of Dance Master is back. Seriously, they couldn't have slowed it down slightly? This stage is so boring, and if you try going fast you'll get disoriented. Lovely. This stage would be better as a bonus stage, to be honest. Okay, so Deluxe had a bad habit of being filled with maze stages, and don't worry, we'll get to all of them eventually. Jolt Channel isn't bad itself as a maze stage, because there's no dead ends and you have the minimap to guide you, but I'm sending this one anyway because it's still a tight maze level regardless. No sin here, but sewer is an example of how to make a good maze stage. It's not confusing, you get rewarded by going on the top of the maze. You can't ricochet off the background to do the skip anymore. Sad. And you know, this reminds me that the fish in the background is gone too. Rest in peace, fish slave. Teeter is a good seesaw stage, but it's way too hard for casual difficulty. Catwalk isn't a good stage at all, even if it's nerfed a lot in this game, except it's not nerfed because the invisible walls are gone. Also, there's a skip on Catwalk and it's way too easy to pull off. I doubt the devs even found this. That's not a rhombus, that's a diamond. Wait, they're the same thing? Ugh, this stage is so boring. This stage name is so weird. Millefoy is a French dessert that has 3 layers. It's such a weird name for a level, and this level doesn't really represent that very well by being a bunch of stairs. I'm pretty sure the 2 major regions that play this game are not French. Fat shaming. Oh snap, a Kendrick Lamar reference. Stages that involve you slowly going upward are never fun. So we have Cliff and also Cliffs. They're 2 different stages, by the way. Same goes with Conveyor and Conveyors. Has anyone even done this the normal way by going around the stadium? Okay, now this is what you don't do when making a maze stage. Fun fact, early on into SMB2 modding, there was an infamous stage called the Mega Maze. Why was it infamous? Because the Mega Maze was a giant maze stage with a rooftop. The rooftop existed so you couldn't see the maze on the minimap. Sounds lame, right? This stage does exactly that, except in its official level. And don't even get me started on the Golden Banana version on this level. Who was the dumb poopy head who designed this stage and thought it was okay? A bonus stage where it's impossible to get perfect, almost impossible to follow, and has no goal, meaning that unless you know how to follow the stage, which isn't easy to begin with, you'll have to wait out the timer. Dungeon may suck as a maze stage, but Chaos sucks even more. It's a jumbled mess of a maze where you can't even use the minimap or view stage to get good help from, due to the stage having multiple levels. And guess what? There are only 2 correct pathways, which both take almost 60 seconds to take, meaning if you mess up once, you will get a time over. And how's anyone supposed to know the correct path anyway? There's not any indicator on where to go. Then you have Dodge Mage, which suffers similar issues like Chaos, except this time there are walls you need to push to progress to the stage. How's anyone supposed to know that the first time around? Viewing the stage and the minimap help a little bit, but there's no indicator that you need to push the differently colored walls. Why is this stage called Dodge Maze? What are we dodging from? Why not call it Push Maze or Moving Maze, that it would indicate what you need to do? It's Morbin time! Also, I know this mode goes through all the Deluxe exclusive stages, but having 2 bonus stages in a row is weird. You don't even need the stairs to boost you in the stage at all. It does suck that the party game menus don't have their own music anymore. Also, why can we only use the first 6 characters in the party games? Maybe the guest characters I kinda understand not being used, but not Jet or Jam. Why not? One other issue with the party games is that none of the SMB1 versions use the original Super Monkey Ball music. They use 2s. Monkey Target is a copy and paste from Banana Blitz HD and it controls really weird. Also, why is the victory music from the original Banana Blitz? I thought Sega lost the rights to that music, hence Banana Blitz's HD's soundtrack being really weird. Do you own the songs or not, Sega? Why do all the Monkey Boat courses use the beginner theme? Wait, same goes with Monkey Shot. Why didn't they have the individual music for each difficulty like in the originals? Also, why is the party game announcer different from the main game one? Weird choice. If you turn the original soundtrack on, baseball and tennis still use the new music. Did they run out of time or space to put the original music in? Baseball is actually terrible in this game and they did my favorite game dirty. First of all, the outfielder monkeys are replaced with cages. The pockets are all the same color and oh my gosh, is this sport unplayable. The physics do not work and 90% of the time the ball will not make it to any base pocket and you will get out. This is your best attempt at an online mode? Why not an actual one where we could play competition mode or party games together? This game would have sold so much better if that were the case. Again, why can't Jam and Jet use custom outfits? And why can't any character use custom ball patterns? Alright, why are all the guest characters mute? The only reason they aren't for me is because I'm using mods. Sega, you do realize you own most of these IPs, right? Oh cool, filters. Seriously, who uses these? Why is the original music DLC? That couldn't have been in the base game at all? Why are the DLC characters $5 each? They're voiceless, customless, and cannot be chosen outside of the main game. Not worth it at all. And also, to ad-lib here, they're removing some of them now. So that's weird too. No credits minigame. The past 3 games haven't done this, but every game prior to that does. Why get rid of them in the first place? Why in the hell is there a jump feature? None of these levels were designed with a jump in mind, so when enabled it makes the game laughably easy, and it won't even go into detail what levels are broken with jump, because then the sin counter would double. So if you press a certain button combination on the menu, the full version of Hello Banana starts playing on the menu. While that's cool and all, when you have the original soundtrack enabled and do this combination again, nothing happens. It would have made sense to do the 100% clear menu theme from Super Monkey Ball 2. Missed opportunity, Sega. Lastly, no ultimate mode? There's a marathon mode for SMB1 and SMB2, but not an ultimate mode for 1, 2, and Deluxe. That would have been a good finale mode to have. That's it!